Well, first of all, we just want to say that we're really looking forward to welcoming you back to the studio when we get to open our doors to groups of people on the 12th of April. For some of you who haven't done studio sessions in the past, this might be a little bit of a different format than you're used to when you attend here as a group. Or for some of you who are new, this might be a little bit of a different format. So what I'm going to go through today is an example program that you can use in your time at the studio when you attend here as part of a group session. When you arrive at the studio, there will be the program written on the board. We'll also have this on our website as well and on our social media. And of course you'll have the video as well to give you a run through. So we'll start over on the reformer, and that's where you're going to stay for the whole session. This program you can do each week for 4 weeks, and the teacher can give you advice on how you progress it, or you might just get more and more familiar with it each week and just build confidence with it. So we'll start off with some straightforward movements to really open up the body. The first one is going to be getting a foot onto the bar, or onto the foot plate, and getting your shin against the bar so you feel stable. And then we're just going to send the hips back to stretch the back of the shoulders and the hips. You can adjust your distance. So hips will go back to open up shoulders and hips, and just getting the leg as straight as you feel comfortable. And then the hips will go forward and you can open up your hips and chest. So you're just going to work through that for somewhere around 60 seconds, maybe a little bit less or a bit more depending on how you're feeling. And if you feel confident, you can add in like an arm reach here where you just get to open up more of your body, or even a single arm reach if you're feeling stable. Okay, so it'll just be those 2 points. And then you'll swap over and do that on the other side. And then after you finish that, we'll just get into more both shoulders and the low back. So you can drop down into that squat position and open up the arms in front of the shoulders. And then you can just straighten the legs to open up the back of the body and bring yourself forward into a plank. Okay, and just being there to open up the hips, get a little bit of weight into your hands, and then wave back and drop back into that open shoulder position. Okay, and again, you can stay with this for 1 to 2 minutes and just move around each position to free that up. Okay, so once you've done those, you can then make your way down onto the reformer, and we're going to start with some hip mobilizing and getting our spine more supple. So to start with this movement, you can just hold onto the back of your head just to feel supported. And you're just going to go with parallel feet in and out. So with this, you can do roughly about 10 or so. It's just to get your hips and ankles warmed up and get settled to this position. 10 or so parallel, and then about 10 or so with the feet wide. It's your time, so you could spend a bit longer on this if you feel particularly tight or like it's actually really making your hips and ankles feel good, so you could stay and do a little bit more of it. And with the last thing, you can then just do a little bit of work through the calves. Okay. Once you're finished with your feet, you can then start to get the spine moving, where you can reach forward and stretch the back of the shoulders and the low back, and then reach back and open up the front of your shoulders. And again, you just spend roughly about a minute here, little pauses at each position, so that you can start to, like when you're back here, let gravity help to open up your shoulders. And when you're here, just letting the springs help to guide you into that stretch. And then on your very last one, you can pause out there, and we start to just get a little bit of core activity and more spine massage, where you reach up, get the elbows high, Come up as high as you feel comfortable to go, and then lay your spine down. So you're thinking like a bicycle chain, just rolling up and then rolling down. And you'll spend a similar time just going through that. Okay? And then we'll go on to side line. So in the side line position, you can just go on to sitting onto your right hip or left, and then you can either stay here, or if you feel a little bit cramped, you'll go into a little bit further up. I'm just going to stay here, and taking off one red spring so you're down to a red and a blue. Don't worry about the springs, the teacher's going to help you with that. And in this position, we're just going to get the hip moving, so leg extensions to start with. Okay, and we'll instruct this to be like knee high as you come in, knee low as you go out, and that's just going to get a bit of spin through your hip. Okay, once we've got that warmed up, we'll get a little bit of rotation through the rib cage and the hip, where you can reach, trying to touch the end of the reformer, and then opening back up. You'll see this described as like a beach lounger exercise. It's really quite relaxed, and you're just looking for length and motion through the spine and through the hip. Okay, and then once you feel warmed up in that, so somewhere around 8 reps, we'll go into a side body stretch where you can just lengthen over the side of the arm. And you just hang over the side of the arc, let gravity guide you into that stretch. And then you can just come in and you're trying to find the side of your body here. Okay, and we just go between those 2 points, up and over, little pause, and then coming back in, little pause. At this point, again, the teachers will be keeping an eye that everything's, that you're moving well and feel comfortable in all these movements. But a lot of it is just for you to get in and feel like check in with your own body. Okay, so that's that. Again, we'll give you progressions and regressions as you go along each week. So from there, we're going to repeat the other side, but then we can take this off and we'll start with our bridging. I'm whizzing through these, but you obviously will take your time and just give yourself some rest where you need. So you can stay on the same springs as a start point and just see how you go. Okay, with the bridging, if you're new to this exercise, you can just lift the hips up and have a pause at the top and get used to this position. You can even get your hands on to just be there for a moment and get your hips into the best position. Okay. And so that's if you're new to it, then you'll just stay there for a couple of seconds and then lower back down. And that's what you'll do for about 10 repetitions. Rest in between where you need. If you're quite familiar with bridging, you might just lift up, find your position, and then press out. When you're out there, you can also just add in 2 shoulder shrugs to really lengthen from your core. Okay, and then we'll come all the way back in, roll down, and that's 1 repetition. So you can repeat that 10 times, whether you're doing the first bit with just a hold or whether you're pressing in and out and doing the shoulder shrug. Then you might need just a little bit of a rest. You can adjust the springs. You can ask the teacher what you think is best. And then we go to single leg. So you're going to bridge up. And if you're new again, you might just try lifting and holding. And then lifting and holding. And then rest down. Or if you're familiar with it, you might lift, hold, and then just doing a press out, getting full stretch, or as much as is comfortable, and then all the way in. And you do that 5 times, then rest down. Swap and do the other leg. And you go for somewhere between 1 and 3 sets. See how it feels for your body today. Okay. Once you've done with your bridging, we move on to feet and straps. You can choose to stay on the same springs again. The same spring will do for all of this, but you can adjust it if you feel you need. And you just start really easy, where you'll open the ankles, like pointing your toes, like you're kicking a ball, that kind of open ankle position. And you just go up with the legs. And when you go down, you want to flex the feet and press down. Don't need to worry too much about the feet, but it's just quite good motion for the threads that run through the legs, the nerves that run through our legs, to get that pointing and then flexing. And you just settle in with this and roughly getting about 8 reps done with these. And once you feel you've warmed that movement up, we can then go into a V position where you'll reach out and try and stretch the inner thighs, get a feel for that, and then back. So you're just moving the carriage by letting the ropes guide you out and then bringing it back. And again, just about 6 or 8 of these for your muscles to get used to that. And then we'll go into some circles where the ropes guide you into the stretch. Bring the legs into the centre, and then you work against the ropes, moving the carriage. So guided into the stretch, and then working against it on the way down. And then you can just reverse the same thing. Ropes helping you, working against it. So that might be enough if you're new to feet and straps. That might be enough just to get used to it again. But if you're familiar with it, you might choose to work on something like the short spine. And if so, the short spine, you start off with going through each position. So this is the start position. Your second position is going up and over and having that pause between your shoulder blades. Third position is having the knees bent, pelvis is still. And then the fourth position is down and then out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Practice those positions, and then you just try and slowly getting those movements to flow into each other. And there's loads of ways to tweak this. We'll help you with that in the studio. So then we're going to come up into standing. So we'll just be working on some rotations in our hips, spine and neck. And it's a pretty straightforward exercise once you get going. The main thing to think about is keeping your legs straight, and then you can just feel into it from there. So we'll press the carriage out, reaching across the reformer to the other side, and just go easy. Have a feel of it on the first one. Keep the legs straight, and then just reach up to the ceiling, and just see how far you feel comfortable to open your chest to the ceiling. And with each one, you're naturally going to go a little bit further and feel a little bit more comfortable with it. But just take it really easy and go at your pace today, or on the day that you're in. And over the coming weeks, you're going to feel this gets more and more familiar, more and more comfortable. Okay, so you'd roughly do about 6 or 8 of those, just having time to explore that movement for you. And then you'd go around and do the other side. From there, we're going to do a little bit of core work and then some lunge work. These two movements are really great movements for you to gain confidence with and progress over the coming weeks. I'm going to just teach the one they're all very good work, even from the entry level, and then you'll be able to progress them over the weeks as well. And if you find them too difficult for any reason on the day, we've loads of tweaks, because some days our body's just, it's not the movement for us. But this is a good one to get started with for week 1 when you come in, and then we can guide you if they're a little bit tricky. So for the core work, you're going to rest on your forearms, or if you prefer, on your knuckles or on your hands. I'll demonstrate on the forearms for this week. So you'll rest onto there, and you just go into the plank position. And then from your plank position, you're going to aim to get a knee forward to the reformer or your elbow, and then back. And then do that on the other side, and back. And then in between, you can just get those hips high for a moment, and then go through that again. Okay, forward, forward, hips high. Okay, And then you try and chip away at that for somewhere around 8 reps, maybe 6, maybe 10, and you can take breaks wherever you need to. Shake out your shoulders and get back into it. If it's feeling really tough, it's likely to feel challenging, but if it's feeling really tough, it will get easier with practice. So you do 1 set of those, relax your arms out, and when you're ready, repeat another set where you aim to try and get the knee to the opposite elbow. Okay? Then again, you give yourself some recovery time, be kind of slow on the transitions to allow things just to recover and recharge. And then we're going to go into some lunge work. Okay? With these, I'll demonstrate from this side so that you can see my hand. The key thing is, again, just take the first set slowly. You might just get through 1 set in the first week, but as you get more confident, you might get a little quicker with it or smoother. With this, you can start with both hands on and just getting the movement. So dropping into a reverse lunge and then back. And the goal will be to be hands-free or fingertip support. And you're going to reach 1 hand to the outside ankle and then coming back up. Balancing at the top is one of the key things here. So even if you're using both hands to go down, tapping, both hands to come up, try and balance at the top. Okay? So let's say we're going to go for hands free, hand to the outside and back. Try and do 6 of those roughly, maybe 4, maybe 8. And then you're going to do 6 with or without hand support of the hand going inside the thigh to the ankle and then back. Okay, and there'll be a teacher there just to help any questions you have with this. And you just go through 6 to 8 of those. Okay, and that should be that leg well tired out and opened up. Repeat it on the other side, and if you have time, if you've been really efficient with transitions and you're feeling great, we just repeat that last section again. Okay, so that brings us then to the end of our session. For some of you, you'll have got through all that work because you're really familiar with it and you were able just to get straight in. And for others of you, you'll have got through some of it, and then because you were just trying to get used to it, get settled in. But the key thing is for each week, you just to go at your own pace, use the time for you to feel good, and then over the weeks you can try and challenge yourself a little bit more, and we'll give guidance on that. At the end of your session, do try and allow time just to have a little check-in with your body. And it's usually quite nice to go through something that you went through at the start and just see how it feels, and just have a little bit of time to settle your breath again. So you just go back to the bar, have your hands there, drop into your shoulders, and then just go through some of these waves through the spine, coming into that plank. Really easy, just settling your breath, just seeing how your body feels after giving it a full hour of those movements. So look forward to seeing you on the 12th, and that's it.